Hey everyone, and welcome back to Outta Here Baseball. In this video, we're going to take a look at the 2017 Houston Astros and how they were formed. This is the last of the initial 4 series planned for this channel to debut, and will be similar to the What Happened To series. We will look at a notable season from a team in baseball history and see what events happened in the years leading up to that season. For this first video, we'll be looking at the 2017 Houston Astros. At the time of recording, the Astros are one of the best teams in baseball. They won over 100 games in both 2017 and 2018 with a core of all-star caliber players, many of whom were developed in the Astros minor league system. Having been formed in 1962 as the Houston Colt 45s, the Astros franchise went over half a century without a World Series title until they finally won it all in 2017. So what put this Astros team over the top, and how did they get there? We'll answer these questions and more as Outta Here Baseball presents the 2017 Houston Astros and how they were formed. We'll start by going back to 2011 when the Astros went 56 and 106. This was the start of a rough few years for the Astros, but it shows how far they have come in such a short amount of time. Jose Altuve would make his debut in July that year, having signed as an amateur for the Astros back in 2007 out of Venezuela. George Springer would be drafted 11th overall a month earlier, and Jeff Luhnow would replace Ed Wade as general manager in the offseason and would implement a data-driven approach in the Astros front office. 2012 saw the Astros finish with a record of 55 and 107. Having finished with the worst record in the Bigs the year before, they were able to select Carlos Correa first overall in the first-year player draft and get Lance McCullers in the compensation round. Utility man Marwin Gonzalez would make his debut following a trade from Boston, as would homegrown starting pitcher Dallas Keuchel. The 2012 offseason saw the Astros move from the National League to the American League in order for there to be 15 teams in each league. They would be put in the AL West, a division that featured the Astros' in-state rivals, the Texas Rangers. Along with the league change came new colors, logos, and uniforms that paid tribute to the team's look in the 1960s and saw the return and redesign of beloved mascot Orbit. The Astros would reach rock bottom with the franchise worst 51 and 111 record in 2013. Not a lot of good things can be said about this season. Even their first overall pick in the draft, Mark Appel, ended up retiring from baseball in 2018, having never reached the majors. Things started looking up in 2014 with the Astros winning 19 more games than they did the previous season. Jose Altuve would collect a franchise record 225 hits for a team that consisted primarily of players under the age of 30. George Springer would make his major league debut and hit 20 home runs before injury ended his season in July. On the mound, Dallas Keuchel and Colin McHugh put together strong seasons that gave Astros fans some hope that the best was yet to come. As for the draft, the Astros got Derek Fisher in the competitive balance round, but their first overall selection, Brady Aiken, did not sign with the team. At the end of the season, A.J. Hinch was named as manager as a replacement for Bo Porter. In 2015, the Astros finally turned a corner and put up their first winning record since 2008. No one expected the Astros to compete so soon after their years of struggles. Offseason additions Will Harris and Luke Gregerson helped to shore up the bullpen, and Evan Gattis was acquired from the Braves to serve as a DH and catching option. But the biggest addition was Rookie of the Year winner Carlos Correa, who along with Jose Altuve formed one of the best double play combinations in baseball. Dallas Keuchel would emerge as the ace for the Astros pitching staff and ended up winning the Cy Young Award in the process. The Astros would grab a wild card spot and shut out the Yankees to advance to the division series, but would lose in 5 games to the eventual champions, the Kansas City Royals. Since the Astros failed to sign their first overall draft pick the year before, they were given a compensation pick with the second overall selection, which they used on LSU infielder Alex Bregman. 2016 saw the Astros regress slightly to a record of 84 and 78. After the success of 2015, many thought the Astros would be even better the next season. The offense performed at a high level, with Jose Altuve finishing third in the MVP race. Alex Bregman and Cuban Yuli Gurriel would make their debuts in the Astros infield, while Ken Giles and Chris Davinsky were added to an already strong bullpen. Where this team struggled was in the starting rotation, as all their pitchers, with the exception of Lance McCullers, had underwhelming seasons. After the season was over, many changes were made to the roster. Veteran catcher Brian McCann was acquired from the Yankees to replace free agent Jason Castro. Josh Reddick and Carlos Beltran were also brought in to form one of the most fearsome lineups in the league. Charlie Morton was signed in an under-the-radar move in hopes he would come back strong after pitching in just 4 games the year before. That brings us to the 2017 season, where the Astros put it all together and won 101 games. 11 offensive players hit double-digit home runs, including MVP winner Jose Altuve. Correa and Springer would join him at the All-Star game, along with pitchers Davinsky, McCullers, and Dallas Keuchel, who rebounded nicely after his down year. Charlie Morton and Brad Peacock emerged as surprise stars for a deep pitching staff, but come August, the Astros wanted to add to that depth. On August 31st, former MVP and Cy Young winner Justin Verlander was acquired from the Tigers and would win all 5 of his regular season starts for the Astros, while allowing just 4 runs. His acquisition and the team's subsequent run towards the postseason provided a much-needed boost to the city of Houston, as it was devastated by Hurricane Harvey in August. The team began wearing patches on their uniforms to signify their support for relief efforts and spread the message of Houston Strong. Houston would defeat 2 other American League heavyweights in the Red Sox and Yankees in the playoffs before facing off against the Dodgers in the World Series. And what a series it was. It lasted the full 7 games, with games 2 and 5 going down as some of the best contests in baseball history. The Astros would win Game 7 by a score of 5-1 to capture their first World Series title in franchise history, with Charlie Morton throwing the final 4 innings to close out the game. George Springer would hit 5 home runs on his way to Series MVP, and Carlos Beltran finally got his World Series ring after 20 years in the bigs. Carlos Correa added a ring of his own shortly after, and Verlander did the same after that. So after the lowest of lows, the Astros made it to the top of the baseball world in just a few seasons. A lot of their success can be attributed to strong drafting and amateur signings. Their core 4 of Altuve, Correa, Bregman, and Springer were all developed in the Astros farm system and were supplemented by smart free agent signings and trades when the timing was right. On the mound, only Keuchel and McCullers were drafted by Houston, with most of their pitchers coming from waiver claims, trades, and free agent signings that didn't grab headlines. It just goes to show that flashy big money signings aren't the only way to win championships. Of the 25 players on the Astros roster for the World Series, 6 were Houston draft picks, 2 were amateur signings, 3 were waiver claims, 5 were acquired via free agency, and 9 were acquired from trades. While this blueprint for success won't be the same for all teams, it worked in the case of the Astros and led them through their most successful period in franchise history. So that concludes our video on how the 2017 Houston Astros were formed. If you have a suggestion for what team we should cover next, be sure to leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Outta Here Baseball for more content. Thanks for watching.